This is an overview of how to use the new lighting console. The lighting console has 20 faders, and right now I am in channel 1 through 20 mode. So fader 1 will turn on channel 1. Fader 2 will turn on channel 2. Alternatively, if I wanted to turn channels 1 and 2 on, I can use my mouse and select them, and then I can use this level on the right hand side. Fixtures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are your front lights that light up the front of the stage. Fixtures 9 and 10 are new lights to light up the front steps of the stage. Fixtures 21 through 37 here are your stage wash lights. Fixtures 11 through 14 are your cyc or scenery wash. 39 and 40 are some disco effect lights. 15 and 16 are your long LED lights that you use to light up sets. And 17 through 20 are your little square portable lights. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 are the portable lights that you can move around. 39, 40 are your disco effect lights, and then everything else are your stage wash lights. So as I said, I'm in channel 1 through 20 mode, so I can turn my lights on using the faders. Or I can change my faders to be playback mode. And in playback, I can record specific scenes or effects and then use that on a single fader. So to do that, I'm going to select my front wash lights down here. I'm going to bring them up to 100%. Then I'm going to go over to record. I'm going to record a playback memory. And I'm going to select where I want to go by pressing the bump button. I will now go down the far right and I will clear all. That will fade it out. And now I can use the single fader to bring up those 3 lights that I want. You do have color changing lights. So I'm going to click and drag my mouse to select all the color changing lights on the stage. I'm going to turn their level up. And then down the bottom here I have this little color drop. And if I select that, I can go to the color tab. The first tab gives me this little rainbow guy that I can change the lights with. Pressing that color again gives me these colored chips, which I can predefine. I really like this red or this green. I can predefine some colors in here. And the last time I press color, I could change the individual values. So in this case, I could turn everything off and just turn on the UV by clicking the box and then running my finger or the mouse up and down. So here I have the lights are in UV mode. But I'm going to go back to my rainbow. I'm going to go to blue. Then I'm going to go back down to record edit, playback memory, and I'm going to bump down to 11. And I'm also going to do a red. Record edit, playback memory, down there. I'm now going to clear all. It all fades out. Then I can bring up this fader and I have all my lights in a blue, all my lights in a red. Bringing them both up puts all my lights into a purple. So I can do color mixing from these faders here if I record in the primary values. I do have 2 disco effect lights, and they have a couple more options that we can play around with. For them, if I navigate to the 3rd color, it brings up all of the color options that this fixture has. I'll turn the intensity up, then I can see. So all my colors default to 100% for this fixture, but I can turn specific ones off and play around with what colors are actually turned on. So for this, turning on all the colors does not make a full white because they have little individual color chips. So this means that I have red and green and blue turned on, and they do not mix into a white. Here in the beam tab, I have this auto mode, and if I turn the auto mode up, then the fixture will go to an automatic predetermined mode, and I can increase or decrease the speed of that automatic mode. And turning it all the way off will stop the automatic mode. I have a strobe function that I can turn on and off, and I have an initial rotation so I can rotate the fixture. So using the beam tab, I can change all of the settings of how the fixture works, and the color tab will change what colors are turned on. With all of my fixtures, if I do set a custom color or something like that, and I want to default it back to the default values, up the top here I have the home button, and I can click home, and I could home the color, which would just home the colors, or the beam, which is all those effects that we played around with, or I could just click home all, and it will default the fixture back to how we might have found it. The console does have some built-in effects if we want to do some intensity or color effects. So I'm going to select all of my stage wash, put them up to 100%. Then I'm going to go to the Controls tab up here, and I'm going to go to Effects. And here are some built-in effects that we can see. So let's look at, I guess, this primary. Oh, here, rainbow. So I can select rainbow, and adjusting the speed will adjust how fast this rainbow effect works. And right now we can see that all the lights are changing the same color. If I change the fan, increase the fan, then we can see that the lights, the effect is now spread out across the lights. If I want to try a different effect, I can hit the remove effect button, and then I could select this good vibration. And we can see that now it's doing whatever this effect is doing. Again, I could change how fast it's doing it, and I can change the fan, which is if it's one fixture at a time, or if it's across 2 fixtures, or 10 fixtures, or 20 fixtures. So with this set, I like how this looks. It's going to work good for me. What I can do is I can go back to my record edit. I can record a playback memory, and I'm going to put that onto number 20 here. So now if I go back and clear all, I can increase fader 20, which has my lights doing their rainbow effect. I can be in my blue, my purple, and then I can bring up that rainbow effect. But what we'll see now is that it's not doing a rainbow, and that is because I've manually overridden it with the blue and the red over here. So I can turn those back down, and then my rainbow is back and working. The other effect that I could do is intensity. So I'm going to turn these lights on again, and I could select this intensity here. Same thing, I'll fan it out, speed it up, and then we can see that the lights are changing their intensity, but not their color. If I wanted to do intensity and color, I need to hit this Add Effect button. And then down here, I could change and stack 2 different effects. And we're able to see that up the right here. We can see that I have 2 effects. And selecting the effect allows me to change its specific parameters. If I no longer wanted this intensity effect, I could select the intensity effect and I could hit remove, and now I'm just back to a color. But I'm going to add that intensity back in. Speed it up. Split them out. And then again, let's say I really like this. I can go record edit, playback memory, and I'm going to put that onto 19. Now I can go clear all, and this fader here has my lights doing this fast effect. This console does have the ability to record cues. And down here we can see that we have a cue list, which is currently empty, and we have a play, pause, and back. So I'm going to select my front lights here. I'm going to turn them up to full, and I can go to record edit, and I can record a cue. Here it's going to default to cue number 1 with a fade in time of 1 second and an out time of 1 second. I'm going to hit store. So now I have cue number 1, and it will turn these front lights up to 100% over 1 second. For my next cue, I'm going to grab all of my stage lights, turn them up, and put them into a blue color. I'm then going to go record cue, and now it is putting in cue number 2, again with 1 second fade time. Hit store. And then I'm going to add in another cue, let's say these backlights, and white, record, cue number 3, 1 second, store. So now that I have cues, I could go to my cue list, and I can scroll up and down this list, or I can press the play. And here I am now in cue number 1, and that is showing up here. This number 1 is my current cue. And by pressing play, it will fade into cue 2 over 1 second. Press play and it will fade into cue 3 over 1 second. And here it will automatically loop back to cue number 1. Opening the more flag, I can go to a specific cue. So I have the 3 cues, and if I wanted to see what cue number 3 looked like, I could press the play button 3 times, or I could go to cue, type in the number 3, hit enter, and then I would go to cue number 3. If I want to edit a cue, I can go to record edit, and I want to edit my cue list. And here, now that I'm editing the cue list, I can select cue number 1. It gives me an overview of what cue number 1 looks like. And here I could change how fast this cue. So this cue will fade up over 5 seconds. I could select cue number 2 and do the same thing. Cue number 3 and also do 5 seconds. Here, if I wanted to, I could take this cue and I could copy it, delete it if I wanted to. But in this case, I'm happy. I'm going to exit. So now we have this show that has these cues, and the director has said that they want to add a middle transition between Q1 and Q2. So I'm going to select the lights that I want that middle transition to have. Let's say that we just bring up our stage lights and put them into a red. I'm going to record cue. And in this case, I'm going to change the cue number to be 1.5 with a check mark. And that would insert it between Q1 and Q2. I'm going to hit store. Now I'm going to bring up my cue list. I'm going to go to Q1, enter, brings me back to Q1. Again, it's fading over 5 seconds. Nice slow fade, and I have my front lights on. I'm going to press play, Now my stage lights have turned up in red, and then pressing play again brings my front lights back up and my stage lights back onto the blue.